Hello, everyone. I am one of the members from Syndicate 11. On this project, we would like to present you guys about scenario planning of hotels and resorts, especially intercontinental in Indonesia. And these are our members.
Hello, I'm Pane.
Hello, I'm Bondan.
My name is Azul.
And my name is Khairul Ansar.
And my name is Diara.
First of all, let me start by giving you about the company overview information. IHG Company Overview. On this slide, I would like to explain that IHG Company has its mission, vision, the value of the company, and also business model. Intercontinental Hotels Group is one of the world's leading hotel companies with around 350,000 colleagues working across more than 100 countries to deliver true hospitality for good. Its mission is to create great hotels guests love by providing true hospitality for everyone. Its vision is to become one of the great companies. This means having great brands which lie at the heart of great hotels guests love. Its business model predominantly franchise its brand and manage hotels on behalf of third-party hotel owners. And lastly, focus on growing the revenues and fee margins with limited requirements for capital. IHG has also its values itself, such as do the right things, show we care, aim higher, celebrate difference, and work better together. So now let's move on to the brands. As you can see here, the brands of IHG has such as Six Sense, Regents, and etc. But we want to highlight that we are more discussing about Intercontinental, which located in Indonesia. These are the locations of Intercontinental in Indonesia, such as Jakarta, Bandung, and Bali. Intercontinental also offers some things. They are product and also services. And product, it's made and offered to the customers. And lastly, services provided for the customer. I'm going to explain you furthermore on the next slide. In product, it provides room, facility, and activities, restaurants, beach clubs. And lastly, in services, it provides front office services, banquet services, food and beverages service, room services, and the last is spa. To know more about scenario planning, it will be discussed by Bondan. Bondan, time is yours.
Thank you, Khairul. Now, we are going to understand what is scenario planning. But before we going down about the scenario planning, we first should understand what is VUCA. In the operation of business, companies might have to face VUCA. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. VUCA is important to business because it affects the environment of business. Moreover, companies leaders need to deal with the uncertainty itself because business leaders make decisions and problem solving toward the future. To overcome this, company can use scenario planning. And scenario planning is the process that stimulates imaginative, creative thinking to better prepare organization in the future and enables decision makers to identify range of potential outcomes and estimate impacts, evaluate responses, and manage for both positive and negative possibilities. In scenario planning, there are 5 steps that we need to conduct. The first step is orientation. The second step is driving forces, means that we need to identify the driving forces that influence the key focal issue. And second and third is scenario and narrative creation. 4 is option consideration. And 5 is integration. COVID-19 has affected many aspects of life around the world, such as in the economy, transportation, tourism, and etc. Moreover, the hotel industry is among the hardest hit. Research from McKinsey and Company stated that the recovery to pre-COVID-19 could take until 2023 or later. In hospitality, the impact is huge and not yet predictable on both revenues and supply chains. Some decisions are being taken to shut down hotels, restaurants, theme parks, cinemas, and not to mention the entire disruptive effect of the travel ecosystem. All have a significant impact on worldwide tourism. Moreover, in Indonesia itself, as the impact of COVID, the hospitality industry and tourism experienced revenue loss of 85 trillion rupiah. There are some hospitality trends that have been shifted after COVID-19. The first is remote location and fewer interaction. Hotels nowadays start to offer open air spaces, expanding their gardens, limiting their chance of contamination, and tourists start to minimize their contact with other guests. Takeaway versus sustainability means that room service and takeaway offerings have become a solution for the hospitality industry engagement with customers. Third is local mode, means that local inbound travel is booming. Baltic hotels have reached peak levels of occupancy. The good news is that the people will always want to travel. This translates to the success of locals and independent hotels. The fourth is hygiene. The tourists will more concerned about hygiene and cleanliness after COVID-19. Moreover, Ministry of Tourism have implementation program of THSE, and it stands for Cleanliness, Health, Safety, and Environmental Sustainability. The fifth is digitalization. Hospitality business can assert themselves into the virtual environment to promote their mastery of guest service experience to the online world. Therefore, it is important to invest in digital media presence such as social media, online distribution channels, digital campaign, and websites. Next will be continued by Cedric. Cedric, you may.
Okay, well done. In this first step, we thought of a very perfect key focal issues for the Intercontinental Hotel and Resort. How the COVID-19 pandemic will affect Intercontinental Hotel and Resort in Indonesia for the next 10 years. According to the first step, in the second step, we then identify the driving force using PEST analysis, which divided into 4 parts. P stands for politics and government policies. It consists of government policies toward pandemic, travel restriction enforced like PSBB or PPKM or international border closed, implementation of HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control points, which is a management system in which food safety is addressed through the analysis and control of biological, chemical, and physical hazard from the raw material production, procurement, and handling to manufacturing, distribution, and consumption of the finished product. And the last one is the implementation of CHSE, the cleanliness, health, safety, and environment. From the Ministry of Tourism, and this certification serves as a guarantee to tourists and the public that the products and the services provided have met the hygiene, health, safety, and environmental sustainability protocols. E stands for economic situation. It consists of inflationary trend, massive unemployment, demand reduction, and economic growth for the industry. S, it stands for the society and customer behavior. It consists of the work from hotel trend, the staycation trend increasing, people spend less in leisure activities, people more concerned in cleanliness, healthy and safety environment, and reparation package like the quarantine package in the hotel. And the last but not least is T, which stands for technology. It consists of the access to the new technology like Peduli Lindungi application. This application has become an important traveling requirements in Indonesia for vaccine certificate, COVID test result, surveillance for people's activity, and it will send you a warning notification if you are in a crowded area or a red zone area. Technological change, like touchless sensor, cashless payment, which has become a trend nowadays. And digital tourism, as it was mentioned and supported by the Kemen paragraph of Indonesia. In this step, we identify each of the driving forces based on its critical uncertainties. We choose the top 2 critical uncertainties of the driving forces that has the most impact and uncertainties to the industry. We highlighted it with the pink color in the matrix. As we can see, the government policies towards the pandemic and economic growth of the industry are the most critical and uncertain driving forces that even nowadays, they also affect most of the business in Indonesia. And combining these 2 critical uncertainties of driving forces, we created scenario element with 2 axes of x-axis and y-axis. And the next slide will be explained by Anna.
Thank you, Cedric. Okay, the next step is step 3, which is scenario elements and narrative. After identify the most critical driving forces, then we will make a framework based on it and start to compile the scenario for each quadrant in the framework. Here we have damage as the first scenario where the government policies is highly regulating and there is low economic growth. Some unemployment might be happening and the business growth is quite slow due to low income and high operation costs. But the business might be able to recover gradually since there would be the government tax relaxation policy and incentives. The second scenario is unattractive. Here, government policies is highly regulating and there is high and adequate economic growth. Since COVID-19 pandemic still exists, government is enforcing large scale of social restriction or what we call PSBB, and there's also travel restriction and capacity limitation. In addition, people still can't enjoy the facilities as it was before. To be specific, the hotel facilities. As the result, hotel guests or customer is decreasing and hotel's profit is declining. The next scenario is chaos. The economic growth is low and government policy is also low, or in other words, it's not highly regulating in this scenario. Low economic growth indicates that pandemic would not end in the short term, thus it would impact the business in negative way. Furthermore, the involvement of government in making policies is low, which means there are no tax relaxation or incentive that could help the hotel business to sustain. As the result, the hotel might experience ungrowth market, massive unemployment, and bankruptcy due to fixed operational costs and declining income. The last scenario is favorable. In this scenario, there is high economic growth and government restriction. Here are ease and causing good impact for the company. As government's regulation has eased due to subsided pandemic, many customers will be more interested to do leisure activities. Due to increasing demands, hotels' profit will increase too. When the restriction is, hotel can freely open all of its facilities and could provide 100% its capacity for the customers. Thereupon, company sustainability will be more secure. Still in step 3, the narratives for each quadrant. The first one is damage. The narratives is, as the COVID-19 pandemic kept taking its toll, the government imposed tax relaxation in Indonesia to help the economy survive the outbreak. To prevent rise of and stabilize market growth, the government has implemented a new stipulation that reduces the corporate income tax in Indonesia. Optimistically, this step could help affected sector, especially in hospitality and tourism industry. The next narratives is for unattractive. Here, Indonesia government has implemented a large-scale social restriction or PSBB, and residents are not allowed to leave their houses for any unnecessary intentions. Limited mobility and enacted rules on the travel ban has been directly impact hotel industry. Even though hotel industry in Asia has lost up to $1,000 million due to massive booking cancellation, IHG Group in Indonesia is still standing fearlessly due to Indonesia economic growth, which is starting to recover gradually. IHG Group is optimistic about their business recovery. The next one is narrative for chaos. Here, enormous number of industry in Indonesia is preparing to face bankruptcy. Low economic growth and tax relaxation or incentive termination policy is threatening this industry, including hospitality industry. Survey has showed that hospitality industry, specifically hotel industry, has experienced ungrowth market and massive unemployment due to fixed operational costs and declining income. Last but not least, narratives for favorable. Here, pandemic COVID-19 is already subsided and all the industry, including most affected industry like hotel and hospitality, is getting its glory once again. Is government policy related to mobility limitation and high economic growth allow this industry to welcome customer with warm hands? All right, the next presentation will be delivered by Diara. Diara, please continue.
Okay, thank you, Anna. For this slide, I would like to elaborate the implication and option that IAG can do to overcome the future implication. The first one is on damage situation, which happens when the situation is in low economic growth and highly regulated government policies. Slower business growth that is affected because there's a lower demand for leisure activities. With the strict regulation, the hotel can freely open all facilities and full capacity, so it also limits customer to enjoy the hotel's facilities. Since low demand means low customer, company would have to do budget limitation by firing some workers, which elaborates the third point. Hotel must adapt to the regulation that keeps changing throughout the years. So for those implications hotel can do is cost efficiency without firing many workers, identifying operational change to improve profitability, collaborating with government trade bodies, and ensure a quicker and stronger recovery by building a strong strategy. For the chaos situation, although government policies are low regulated, with low economic growth, it is going to cause a lot of damage to the hotel industry. Tourism industry will collapse because the customers' demand will be at the lowest point. Hospitality industry has become unattractive to work at, and a high unemployment rate will take place since the hotel need to cutting costs. But there's always a silver lining in every problems. Hotels can cooperate with the government to provide rooms for self-isolation that will be a win-win solution for both parties. Another thing is product diversification, like offering a staycation work or work from hotel package. And partnership with Gojek or other courier companies that can allow customers to enjoy hotel's food safely at home. For the unattractive situation, when economic growth is higher and highly regulated, it leads to some implication. New health regulation will impact company by limiting the capacity and facilities, and also company will suffer less income due to less customers. Improving hotel service quality will help to overcome the implication in order to compete with other companies. Strengthen the marketing business in terms of SE and offers its promotion to attract more customers. So for the last situation is in favorable situation. Low regulated and high economic growth will be beneficial for the company. In spite of the situation, the hotel must be ready to strengthen its position in order to survive in higher market competition. Sustainable growth in the hospitality industry is also important, and demand increase significantly might cause overwhelming condition. To strengthen its position, company can hire more employees since this demand is high, expand the target segment to broaden opportunities, and boost digital marketing. The next slide is about the early warning signals that the company will be facing. In the damage situation, COVID-19 cases are soaring high, bed occupancy rate declining, business activity limited by government, and travel industry will be the most affected industry since mobility limitation in force. Chaos situation means that the hospitalization rate is higher, limited mobility, companies suffer loss simultaneously, working capital becomes negative, unemployment rate increase, and occupancy rate declining drastically. Unattractive situation is when COVID-19 still exists and might force people to enter a new normal era and have to comply with government regulation. Pandemic restrictions are still tight, which PPKM and PSBB is still in force. But on the other hand, the tourism industry is starting to recover. The last is favorable situation, which is the most beneficial for a company. When the economic growth is high and low regulated policies, company can operate normally with the higher demand. This is when working capital becomes positive, less pandemic restriction from government, employment rate increasing, and more people start to travel, and also pandemic becomes endemic. So that's it from our Syndicate 11. I hope you enjoy our presentation, and thank you for your attention.